Well, I say scuba, birdie, down, down.
All right.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Goodnight, Sleepyhead. This is episode 004. I'm Stephen Harwood. 4.
We might need a anniversary episode on 5.
I think it's time for one. I think it's okay, maybe not. I'm Stephen Harwood, and I'm here I am Stephen Harwood, and I am here with my cousin Jason Chapman.
Hello. Hello.
Get you two mixed up. Sorry.
I didn't shoot nobody. Now, if you watched last week's episode, that was kind of a thing of throwback to last week's episode with John Lennon's dream.
John Lennon. Yes.
In your dream.
In my dream. Yes.
So check that episode out. So we filmed these pretty much back to back. Episode 3 and 4.
Yes.
Yeah. So we don't have no comments, but we do appreciate people who have subbed and commented. So please rate, comment, and subscribe.
It means a lot to us.
Bring a tear in my eye. You know, let me tell you this really short dream before I go into my dream about the angel of death.
Mr. Bond.
No James Bond.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It's okay. No James Bond. But
I get confused.
I think after we filmed that first night, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Which was, man, how long ago was that?
Oh, God.
Week. So anyway, I dreamed that we did this for a long time. Did I say this?
I don't think so.
No, yeah, I dreamed that we were doing this for a long time. I mean, over 100 episodes. We need to get sleeping quick.
Yeah. So,
you know, I think eventually we're going to have to do something else.
Maybe.
And make these like monthly or something.
Maybe.
But
it's fun right now. I mean, we're just getting the ball rolling here.
Yeah. So
Big wheel keep on rolling. Proud Mary keep on
rolling. Rolling.
Where?
Huh? Where?
Okay, Jason, tell us about that dream.
The angel of death. You say where?
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 Spell it.
You said big wheel. You said rolling down the river, and I said where?
Where?
Yeah, like where is the river?
Oh, where? You said where?
Where?
Oh, you probably said where, but
where?
I heard it as
where.
where.
That's like Washington.
Washington.
You know. You say potato, I say potato.
Santa Washington.
Santa Washington. Take it. Never mind.
No, okay. Inside joke. They're not going to get that. Okay, so angel of death. I dreamed this recently, like 2 nights ago.
Oh, wow. So this one's fresh in the memory.
Fresh in the memory. So,
Mr. Haney.
You don't have an angel of death? Anyway, so 2 days ago, I dreamed that so a dream starts off, I'm standing in front of this humongous TV.
Okay.
And the names have to be changed to protect the innocent, pretty much, because I've asked some people, can I use your name in my show? Some people said yes. Some people I would not ask because they're crazy, so I would not ask. So I have to change some of the names because some of my family members actually been watching this. Your family members have been watching this show, so that's kind of weird. No one really of my family watches my action figure show, but they've been watching these, so I gotta some of these names I gotta change, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's totally understandable.
Yeah. So anyway, in the dream, I'm standing in front of this big television, and I am old. I'm probably in my 90s or 80s, and I'm watching my life flash before my eyes on this television screen. And I was looking, and the pictures were me and my wife, Melissa, and it was sad. I was sad because my life was over, and and saw my wife. I haven't seen her in a long time, and so I hear someone walking up behind me, and I was like in a room, which this big empty room. I can't really explain it. Might have been a gym or something. It just looked kind of industrial.
Wow.
So I hear someone walking, and it's one of my other buddies. We'll just call him John. Not my brother-in-law John, but let's call this guy John.
I know him.
So he's like, "What are you doing?" And John's a little bit older than I.
Okay.
Dog is digging down in her bed.
Dog digging down in the bed. Sorry.
All right, go settle down. Anyway, so John comes up to me and says, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I think it's my time." And he's like, "Well, you need to get going." And I said, "But I don't want to go." And he goes, I said, "What about you? You're older than I. You should be going." He goes, "Well, I got one more thing to do." And I said, "Well, what is it?" And he goes, "Well, I'm going to take care of it right now, but you, Jason, need to get going." And I'm like, "I don't want to go." And he walks off, and then he kind of disappears.
Oh, wow.
Man, this might be a long drill. So,
may I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
What did he look like?
This John guy?
Yeah.
Oh, he's a real guy, I know.
Yeah.
He's just
okay.
an older guy.
Okay.
He's
I
not,
see.
yeah. So, I don't, you won't know him. So he disappears, and then I'm looking at the screen, and then the light just gets really bright.
Oh, wow.
And it just starts sucking me in, because I wasn't going, so I just get sucked in. I'm doing this weird, into the light, right?
Into the light.
And then I cross the barrier from the light, and I'm in a garage. I'm in a garage, and I'm floating around now. I'm a spirit now.
Yeah.
And I was in that garage forever. I mean, forever. And I was like floating around looking. I said, "This garage looks kind of familiar, but Lord, why am I here?" And I was like, "Man, this must be purgatory. A garage that looks somewhat familiar."
It's the last place I want to go.
Yeah. And finally, after forever, the garage door opens. And I'm like, "Oh, finally." So I float out, and I look to my east. Not your east, my east.
Your east.
I look to the east, and I notice, hey, this looks familiar, but there's no houses around.
Yeah.
I look to the west, and there's a couple houses around. And I'm like, this is weird. So my friend Rhonda from work came up, and she was passed too. And, Rhonda's, a little bit older than I too. But this Rhonda, like, new heavenly body type thing, what we hear in the Bible. And I'm like, in my dream, I knew Rhonda was passed for a while. And I said, "Rhonda, what am I doing here?" And she goes, "Well, the Lord has sent you to do some more work." And I said, "Oh, all right." All right. And I look, behind me, and I'm in front of my grandma's house, but back in the 60s.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "That's my grandma's house, Rhonda." And she's like, "Yeah, the Lord has sent you back in time to do his work, because the Lord is everywhere, and time has no matter to God. So you're sent to do stuff in the 60s. I was like, "Oh, okay." And I said, "Why?"
I like how you just went with it.
Yeah, pretty much. Most of my biblical dreams that I will eventually get to, I just go with it.
It's probably the best thing to do.
So I was like, okay. And so I'm like, "Okay, where do we go?" And she goes, "Well, you're going to go to my house, my parents' house."
Yeah.
And it's on, we'll just say it's 9th Street. I said, "Oh, okay, we'll go to 9th Street, your parents' house." So, and it's like, if you ever watch, I don't know if you ever watched it, but on my superhero friends will know, when the Flash runs on TV, it's just like, really fast. Well, that's what happened.
Oh, okay.
We just instantly just,
wow.
Also, we were at her house, her mom's house, her parents' house. And she goes, "Go in this room and wait until it's time." I said, okay. So I go in the room and I wait forever again. And then finally she comes out of the room, comes into the room where I'm at, and says, "It's time." And I said, "Time for what?" And she goes, "You'll know." And so I go out of the room, and she goes, "You see that guy right there? Uncle Thomas?" And I said, "Yeah." He's not taking care of his family. You need to take care of him. I said, what do you mean take care of him? She goes, well, you're a spirit. You're here to do God's work. Go take care of him. So she grabs, I have like this kind of robe on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it had a hoodie. It's weird I picked this to do this. It just dawned on me, hey, I got a hoodie on.
Yeah.
So
nice prop.
Yeah, that is kind of weird. So she grabbed my hoodie or my robe, and it had a hood on it. I don't think they call them hoodies in heaven, but so
if anyone knows,
if you know if it's called hoodie in heaven, let me know.
Please.
So
please inform us immediately.
I had this black robe on, and then the hood. She puts the hood up, and she goes, "Now go take care of him." And I floated into the other room where he was at, and what did I call him? Uncle. Email.
Uncle Thomas.
Thomas.
I
yes.
remember that because we have Thomases in our family.
I changed the name to protect innocent there. So I go in there and I float to Uncle Thomas, and I asked Rhonda before I went in, can he see me? She goes, oh, he will see you. So because before they couldn't see us, but now they can. So she's like, I go, Uncle Thomas Myers, whatever. I don't want to say her last name. Uncle Thomas Myers, and he's like, yeah. And I said. And then the words just came out. Like I wasn't speaking like God was.
God was. He put the words in your mouth.
Yeah. So I said, Uncle Thomas Meyer, you have not been taking care of your family. You are a drunk and adulterer. You have not been taking care of family. So now it's time for you to pay for your own sins because you've never repented to God. And then just really deep voice, coming out of me. Not even my voice.
Right, of course.
And then I pull my hoodie back. Well, my glasses didn't get stuck. I pull my hoodie back, and my face was just a skull.
Ooh!
and my eyes were kind of glowing. And
oh my gosh,
red. And he's like, of course, he's like, he's all screaming.
That would be a normal reaction.
Yeah, I would think so. He's all screaming, and then it was like Indiana Jones. You remember on the last when they opened the ark?
Yeah,
his face just went melted.
Oh my!
And then his spirit went to hell.
Oh my gosh!
And I'm standing there like looking at him, I'm like, okay.
Again, you just go with it.
I went with it. I'd send someone to hell. And so I put my hoodie back on, and then my face came back. And like I said before on the other episodes, I dream first person, third person type deal. So I live it, and I see it. It's weird how that works out. Right. So I go back to Rhonda. I said, what was that about? And she's like, you got to do God's work. And I said, am I the angel of death? And she's like, you're one of them. So now go take care of business. And then all of a sudden, it was like that whole, weird transition. I went from her house on 9th to some apartments that are not there now, where Family Dollar is on 412.
Yeah.
And I found out when I told Rhonda this dream, she goes, did you know there are actual apartments there? Were there at one time? She goes, I said, no. She goes, I used to live in those apartments.
Oh, wow.
So I've had dreams about those apartments before.
Where the Family Dollar is on 412, there used to be apartments.
Mm-hmm.
And Rhonda, that was in your dream, used to live in those apartments. Mm-hmm. Wow.
And I did not know that.
Wow.
I told her the dream, and she's like, there really were apartments over there. And I'm like, oh, my God. I got kind of spooked out.
That is very spooky.
Yeah, so I'm still in the past. And nothing happens, though, in those apartments. I'm just floating around, waiting for something to happen.
Right.
And then I get this feeling I should be at the hospital. And then on that weird transition, I floated, to the hospital.
Right.
And it's Old St. Mary's. And what I remember as a kid.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh, my gosh, I'm going to have to do... I was thinking I'm going to have to do something here because it's the hospital.
Yeah.
And nothing happened.
Huh.
And it just seemed like it took forever I'm like there forever. And finally, I get the feeling I should go to New Mexico. And I don't know why New Mexico, but I just in the weird longer transition. I guess it takes a little bit longer in transition wise to get to New Mexico. So I get to New Mexico. I'll take this off for a second. I get to New Mexico, and then I'm in this house, and there's a bunch of people like maybe like five to seven kids in this house,
Mm-hmm.
and the woman and her husband, so wife and a husband, and I'm like, floating around with my hoodie still on,
Yeah.
I'm floating around, and I'm like, okay, what am I doing here in New Mexico? But it didn't seem like I was in the past anymore, and you'll see why. So I'm floating around, and every time I floated around a kid, one of the little kids, like, under 3, would like look up and sense me.
They could sense your presence.
Yeah,
there.
and I think little kids can when they're babies, But that's a whole different discussion for another time. So anyway,
Yeah.
So I purposely walked by a kid to see what they would do, and they're like, they get all nervous and stuff like that.
Right.
So I eventually I just had that sensation that I needed to hang out there for a while, and eventually the wife that was laying on the couch said, "You're here for my husband." And I'm floating way up, by this time up there by the ceiling, and I looked down at her, and I said, "Woman, can you sense me?" I mean, just like that, really deep voice. And she's like, "Yeah, go take care of him. He doesn't take care of us. My kids are starving. I'm sick. He is not providing for the family. He's in the other room." So she pretty much ratted him out.
Yeah.
To the angel of death.
Yeah.
Death. So I just float into the other room, and we'll call this guy, because I know an actual guy named this, but we'll call him Brian Rodriguez. And I know him on off my other YouTube channel, so that's why I had to change the name.
To protect the innocent.
So I floated in there, and I said, and I had my hoodie on. Maybe should I put the hoodie back on?
Yeah. Do it for effect.
All right. I said, "Brian Rodriguez," and he turns around. He's like, "Holy crap!" Who are you? And I said, "I am the angel of death, and I'm here to take care of you because you have not been taking care of your family. You have not provided them. You're drunk. You have not repented to God. You will now pay for your sins." And this time, big old red bolts started coming out of my eyes, kind of like Superman's heat vision, I guess.
Yeah.
So I pull my thing back, and then skull face again, and he's all screaming and all that. And then I'm just like looking at him, and his face started slowly melting because I started changing my mind. And so his face is like, and all of a sudden I was like, I put it back real fast. And I said, "No, death is too easy for you. You're going to have to live your life with the regret what you've done to your kids and your wife.
Oh, wow.
So change your ways or I'll come back for you." And this time, he's like, "Thank you, thank you." Then I looked down, and my robe was green. And it changed colors from black to green.
Wow.
And he's like, kind of like, who are you anyway?
Yeah.
And I looked down at him. I said, "I'm justice. I'm God's justice." Something like from an action hero movie. Justice. God's justice. And so I started floating away.
Here comes a twist, folks. I can tell by the laughter. Get ready. Get ready.
I looked down at his on his desk, and there was like a 3-pack of not those big action figures, but smaller action figures of Superman, the Justice League. So I pick up the 3-pack, and I said, "Hey, I sold these to him on eBay." And then I woke up.
Oh, golly. Whoa.
That's the whole dream.
That's the whole dream and nothing but the dream.
Oh, and then the alarm went off. That's why I woke up. And Melissa's like,
"Ooh, I'm kind of dizzy."
My wife, Melissa, says, "Hey, your alarm's going off." And the first thing I said was, I just melted someone's face off. She's like, what? And I just laid there for a while comprehending what I just, experienced.
Yeah.
But yeah, I sold those to him on eBay.
That was this big, powerful dream about you being the angel of death and sending those people to hell that have done wrong in life and have not repented for their sins. Ends with him selling Justice League figures to this guy, Brian Rodriguez, on eBay. Oh, my. That's something.
Well, so if you guys want to interpret what that dream means, comment down below, rate, comment, and subscribe, and that's about it. So that wasn't too long. How long was that? Well, that was kind of long.
20 minutes or something.
Yeah, I hope they pay attention.
Yeah, well, I think that
I think they're going to find out there's always kind of
this is
on my dreams. And yours too.
Well, yeah, if you recall the Uncle Vernon one there.
Yeah,
well, that wasn't.
It just ended.
It just ended, but
yeah, that's a twist.
It's kind of a little bit Alfred Hitchcock in a way, just kind of these surprise endings. But anyways, thank you all for joining us for another episode of Goodnight, Sleepyhead. We'll see you next time. I saw these live on eBay. Wake up, Libby Dawn. Wake up, Libby Dawn. Wake up, Libby Dawn. Wake up, Libby Dawn. Good night, Rudy. Burks works.